So today we're going to talk about how to onboard a new client, why it's important, how to do it, and how to break it down. So the first thing I just wanted to tell you a little bit about me. This is me outside of HAYVN this summer. My daughter took this picture for me. My business is called RocketGirl Solutions, and I work with solo professionals, people who work on their own, and I act as their part-time business manager. So I help them with all kinds of things like updating their websites, doing email newsletters, calendar management, and also developing processes that support their business. And one of those processes is new client onboarding. So I've been doing it for 10 years. I've worked with over 200 different businesses, and my clients are all over the United States and a couple in Europe. And it's I'm very fortunate. I really like what I do, and I get to do it from home. All right, so first I want to talk about onboarding and what it is. So it's an action or process of integrating a new client into your organization. And you know, it's funny because I think it's something that a lot of people skip. And I write an email newsletter, and whenever I write about this, there's always a flurry of people that come saying, "Can you help me with this? Can you help me with this?" Because it seems mysterious to them, but it's really not. And so I want to talk about why it's important first. It really sets the tone for your whole relationship. You know, it's funny, before I had an onboarding process, people would get on the phone with me and we would talk about, you know, how I might help them. And then they would say, well, then what? And I would say, we just start working. And it didn't occur to me how abrupt that was, and how, to me, it just made sense. We would get on the phone, we'd talk about how I can help them, and I just start helping them, you know, but I didn't think about that sort of runway beforehand. And it's a way to really set the tone for your professionalism, the way that you like to communicate with people, and to show them a little bit of your personality as well. And I'm going to walk through all of those steps. But the other thing is that onboarding saves a ton of time, because it's not just about onboarding the client and their experience, it's about what's happening on the back end as well. And we're going to talk about that too. Oh, the other thing is, any questions, you can just unmute yourself and interrupt me at any time, okay? Because I want to make sure that you get your answers, you know, in the moment. So there's some key steps. Now, this is the big one. Don't overcomplicate it. People, especially my coaching clients who I love so much, they make it this big giant thing with 20 million steps. And it's different if the client's wearing a blue shirt or if they're wearing a red shirt. And there's all these different niggly things. So I want you to just really simplify it. Now, there can be sort of like a decision tree. So for example, all of my clients are not necessarily referrals. However, on my onboarding process, there's a line in my checklist that says send referral gift. So what you want to do is you want to make the process, all of the steps, so that you can remove them if you don't need them. But you really want to try to keep it at its simplest. You know, look at your contracts, look at your statement of work, you know, whatever it is, your agreement letters, your welcome email, and just really try to find where there are pieces of information that can be consistent. Like, do you really need to put that special paragraph in there? Like, you know, and if you do, that's fine. But I want you to sort of dissect all of the pieces of what you're currently doing with your new clients to see if there's a way to simplify it and break it down. So the first step is to sketch out the process. And one of the ways you can do that is really simple. You can use Post-its. You know, you can go to a room in your house or at your office at HAYVN and take your Post-its and think about all the different steps. And you want to think about it definitely in terms of your client and in terms of you. So what are the things that need to happen? And really, I encourage you to sit in the seat of your client for quite a few minutes about what the experience is. And then I want you to come back and do it again in a couple of months. So I have a client that has a membership site where they have on Facebook, a community. And we thought we were, oh, you're going to get that, Felicia. We thought we were so smart, in our onboarding and really thoughtful. And then someone sent her feedback, and I looked at it again yesterday, and I realized new things have occurred. The process is different now, and we really needed to look at it again. So this is not like do it once and forget it. This is, a critical piece of your business. So you really want to look at it from their point of view. She was asking them to do a video, and there were no instructions. She was asking them to sign up for something, and again, there were no instructions. So, you want to break it down in really bite-sized pieces. Okay. And you want to make it repeatable. Now, you can capture your onboarding process in a number of ways. You can capture it in a Word document that you print out with checkboxes and, keep it really simple. You can put it in project management software. You can have, standard operating procedure. You can write it out in a Word document. But no matter what you do, I really think you should break it down into a checklist, something that's actionable, that you can really check off. And so you're not thinking about this while you're falling asleep. I forgot this, I forgot that. Anybody have any questions so far? How many of you actually have an onboarding process? Okay. Yeah, I'm sure Felicia does. Yeah. And Anne, because your business is very complex. Yeah. All right. So here's mine. And mine is very simple. And yours might need to be more complicated, but I just want to kind of break it down. All right. So the first thing I do is I send a welcome email. I wrote the email 3 or 4 years ago. I had it professionally edited. I do not fool around with it. It's like, it's done. And that's part of the onboarding process too, is this is not something, you're not inventing it as you go. You can enhance it as you go. My onboarding process has definitely changed over time. But the writing is good. I don't need to include anything about the pandemic or, the season or, whatever it is in my particular case. So the first thing is I want to let them know when I'm available. So my clients, because we're virtual, they don't know, do I work on the weekends? Am I at my desk Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or is it all the time? So I let them know my availability. I also let them know that I'm going to sign them up for my email newsletter that I publish, because I want to make sure that when they get it, they're expecting it and they don't feel like I've spammed them. So there's a sentence that says, as a client, I automatically add you to my newsletter, Rocket Fuel. I hope you enjoy it. Then I also give them a link to schedule time with me. So a lot of my business, how it works is clients they'll pop onto my calendar. And I do that because as part of my brand, I want to be as accessible as possible and available. So this is a way that if they think about, they want to meet with me, it's, next week, and they're thinking about it on a Saturday, they can do this. And again, a lot of my processes have developed as a result of listening to my clients, or places where I've wasted time. How many times do you have to go back and forth with someone to get a meeting before you think, why don't I just sign up for Acuity and, handle this? And so I give them a link to that as well. My phone number. And what's really funny is, as part of this process, and this is where I made an improvement, one of my clients said, she said something when we were talking about on the phone about calling me. And I said, you can call me. And she said, you mean just call you? And I said, yeah, my phone is like right here next to me and you can call me. So I put a sentence in there about, you can call me. And if I can't pick up, I leave a message and I'll listen to it and I'll call you back. So really basic, simple stuff that you wouldn't think needs to be said, but you really want to. And again, I don't go into this whole thing about it. It's just, here's my number. You can reach me. If I can't pick up, leave me a message. And then the other thing is, as you can imagine, sometimes, my clients they're busy and they have questions and they want them in the moment. And they're also worried that their email might not get seen by me. So what I say to them in this email is, I'm watching my email all day long for quick requests or, emergencies. If you don't hear from me, if you don't hear from me, right away, that's why. You'll definitely hear from me within 24 hours, because some people will send me an email that says, my website is down, which is very different from, can we publish my newsletter next week? You know, so, and then the other thing is there are clients who are more, I don't know what the word is. Anxious has sort of a bad connotation, but they're a little more anxious. So I'll just shoot them an email right away, you know, boom, I got it, you know. But I at least let them know, you know, that's what's happening, and they get used to it. So any questions about a welcome email? Do you all do a welcome email? And does, yeah. So I really think it's something to consider. And I also talk about, let me just see what this next slide is. I also talk about my pricing again. So they've just purchased time. So here's how working with me works. People prepay my time in 5 or 5 or 10 hour chunks. And I call it the RocketGirl debit card. So they'll buy the time, you know, the pricing is really clear. It's on my website, but I mention it again in the welcome letter. So, you know, everything that I've told them, everything that they've read, it's all brought in one more time. So there's a welcome section, and then there's, like, you know, sort of rules of the road, and then I lay it all out. So
Belinda,
yes.
Belinda, I'm sorry to interrupt. My earpiece fell out when you said something about how you bill ahead of time or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I have something called, so my business, as you know, is called RocketGirl Solutions. I have something called the RocketGirl debit card. So people prepay my time in 5 or 10 hour chunks, and then I work the time down. Yeah, and so how a client sort of becomes a client is they buy the time. That's the trigger, which works really well because I'm never chasing debt, and you know, it's a clear signal because people can say to me, and they have, let's get started tomorrow, I'm so excited, and then they disappear. Now, if I could have started working, you know, so this way I only work when people pay me. My clients love it too, because, you know, they've paid me and they feel like it's like the work is separate from the money in some ways, and it's it makes it more enjoyable, I think, for everybody. All right. So my point was, so thanks for the question. My point was, to even things that are obvious, like you can call me and my phone number and when I'll be at my desk, you know, and the pricing, even though they've just purchased, I just sketch it out again. So the next step in this is getting my systems ready. So I want to think about all of the different things that are touched, because what's going to happen 9 times out of 10 is that the client's going to get on my calendar, and they're in my calendar setup. It says, is there anything you want me to know before we talk? And so I can look, and if there's something I need to prepare ahead of time, I can. But what's going to happen is there's going to be note taking, there's going to be files, like all of these things are going to happen all at once. And it could be that they sign up today and they're on my calendar tomorrow, and I'm busy in between. And so I want to set these systems up. So the first thing I do is when people sign up for debit cards, they give me their physical address, because I like to send cards or gifts. And so I add their physical address to my CRM. Then I add them to Toggle. Toggle is the free time tracking tool that I use. And I want to make sure that's ready to go, because I'm tracking my time all day long. So you can see I'm looking at my processes and how they need to be supported as part of the onboarding. I create a folder in Dropbox, and I could do these things in the moment, but it's a lot more relaxing to be ready. I send a client welcome gift. And that again is, I haven't done that for a while, but what I used to send out are these little rocket pens that are adorable and affordable. The key to sending out a gift, because I used to really sweat it, was I was sending a different thing every time, and I was making it really complicated. And then I decided on this pen, I decided on silver tissue paper, I decided on a handwritten note, and it just happens. So you want to remove the thought from the things that don't need your thought. You know, you can make a decision about your welcome gift, or if you're not going to have one, and not make it a whole thing that takes half a day. I mean, in my business, being billable is key, because that's how I support myself, by being billable. And definitely I'm not getting paid to figure out what my welcome gift is. So again, don't overcomplicate it.
Belinda, could I interrupt for one quick second? What CRM platform do you use?
I don't recommend it.
Oh,
yeah.
Is the one that you do recommend?
Yeah. So let me tell you a little bit about that. That's a good question. So I use Contactually, and the reason I got Contactually 10 years ago, It was really inexpensive. I loved it. I referred a lot of people. I haven't paid for it for years. I was grandfathered in, you know, so it's one of those things. I do like it, but it's $70 a month and I don't think it's worth that. So one of the ones that I'm looking at right now, I'm not going to switch because it works for me and it's free. But I have been looking at others, and look at one called Close, CLOZ, I think it is. It has a lot of the similar functionality. And one of the things that it does is it prompts you to stay in touch with people, which is a big part of my marketing strategy, staying in touch with people. So check that one out. I like that one enough that I downloaded it and I've imported a few people. I usually have an opinion before that. And I've looked at 5 or 6 of them. So that's the one that I'm seriously considering using for another business that I have.
So just a quick comment for other people to understand, because when you're starting, like I'm starting out, right? So I don't actually have any CRM in place. And when you're starting a business, there's so many things that you need, so many platforms, and you have to decide which are worth paying for and which are worth getting the free version. And like you could just do an Excel spreadsheet in the beginning to manage customer relationships and keep track of email and who bought what. But I'm asking because like going forward, you know, you don't want to hitch your wagon to something that ends up not being that great and then you're paying for it, you know?
Right. Okay. So I could do a whole entire webinar on that for sure. So here's my philosophy on this, and that is keep your systems as simple as possible. So I'm running a business that is a 6-figure business with 42 active clients in my house with Evernote, Dropbox, you know, what else? Toggle free version. I mean, just very few tools. And what you want to do is do what works. And then when it starts to break or crack, or you find yourself making mistakes, then go to the next level, because you could spend a bajillion dollars on this. And especially, you know, like this whole debit card system, I have a course that I teach other VAs how to do it. And when I first started out, it was a piece of paper and an email, you know, and now it's this whole other thing because there's more people. But I think it's critical to only pay for tools that you're going to use. And you can, you know, even if there's a great price, because we all know what happens, you know, we pay for these things, we don't look closely at our checking accounts, and a year goes by and you know, $120, like go out to dinner, you know? So just, my CRM is really, it's an address book. But I use Gmail and I don't like their contact management. So, you know, you can keep it pretty basic. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So I send a referral gift. Again, it's the same thing. I used to like sweat it. It was like a whole thing. And I use New Canaan olive oil. I went down when they had a physical store. I talked to Heidi, the owner. She's still doing this for me. I gave her a hunk of my handwritten branded notes. She sends 2 little bottles of olive oil, a little dish, some herbs. You know, she has my credit card. I email her the note and the address and she sends it. So it takes 2 seconds and it's really well received. And because I love to thank people who refer me, because that's where my best clients come from. But again, every single thing on here, I forgot or overthought, you know, just like some of you might be doing until I just got bored with myself. Then the next thing is you want to make sure you're connected with them on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever you live, you know, because this is like your people, and you want to make sure that you're not forgetting them there. And then you want to add them to your email list. I can't tell you how many clients I have. They're doing an email newsletter and we realize their current clients are not receiving it, you know? And so, and that's just because they're not thinking about it. You know, they're not thinking about it as an experience, as a brand experience, as a, you know, as an actual process. And you can see it's really simple. I'm not, you know, my business is really simple. Some of you might have all kinds of contracts and, you know, stuff like that you need to do, that you need to handle, but you can see it's pretty simple. So the other thing you can, you know, like I said, contracts, pre-work, you know, if you're a coach and you have pre-work, but, you know, think about how you can streamline as much as possible. If let's say you're a coach and you have pre-work and you're going to send the welcome email, go ahead and have that pre-work document, you know, uploaded, downloaded, whatever you need to do so that the link's in it. So it's really as clear as possible. And I also invite you to have someone who doesn't know your process and isn't inside of it to show them. because, there are things that we just miss, that we don't see. So the result of doing this is that our clients feel taken care of. They have confidence in our abilities, because a lot of what my product is I've got this, I've got this, don't worry about it. And so you want to instill that as well. You're ready to get to work right away. You don't miss out on opportunities, for thinking about referral gifts, or, getting their physical address. So when you want to send a holiday card, you're not scrambling, you're thinking through your processes. And then my favorite is you're not remembering things, things to do in the shower. You're in the shower and you're like, did I add them to LinkedIn? Did I this? Did I that? So you just want to take the guesswork out. And it could also be, sending them your W-9, or, whatever it is. And I tend to script a lot of these things. I have VAs that help me as well. And if I script, like say an email that goes to the client, then they're staying on brand. They have the text, it's faster, so just think through all the different steps. All right, and then this is where you guys can find me with one of my chickerdoodles. This is Clara, the little chicker. And if you'd like to sign up for my newsletter, you can go to my website and sign up for it in the bottom. And my offer also is, if anyone wants to talk about their business, I offer free 30-minute consultations. Again, it's at the bottom of my website in the lower right-hand corner. And it's not a sales call. I'm just happy to talk to people about their work. Questions? Look at that, 101, boom.